You are now listening to Blind Boys Politics.
Ready, camera one, box. Take 11, Mike Keelan to New York.
Tiananmen Square is now underway.
Can we all get along? Can we get along?
That Simpson has a gun at his head.
Do not think one terrorist bomb will shatter either the faith or the future of the people of Oklahoma.
Everyone around me got shot.
Them and hear about them in the media. God willing.
There has just been a huge explosion. A plane or a helicopter has crashed. Good Lord. That is about as frightening a scene as you will ever see.
In the Battle of Iraq, the United States and our allies have prevailed.
Barack Obama, he will be the first African-American president of the United States. Change has come to America.
After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden.
States can no longer ban same-sex marriage.
America has lived up to her promise of liberty and justice for all.
The entire thing has been a witch hunt.
Article 2 is adopted.
Again, extend my deepest apologies to the journalists who were inadvertently but nevertheless detained.
To create a positive force in a world where cynics abound. To provide information to people when it wasn't available before.
Chris Baker, Nicholas Rod, you are on the air. Go.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Blind Boys Politics. And guys, Chris has returned as promised.
I'm back!
Yep.
I'm sure you all missed me. Oh, thanks, Nick, for the kind words.
You're welcome. I'm so
I know you guys missed me.
Yeah,
you know,
it was weird talking to myself for 25 minutes last week. So I'm glad
you do it every day.
I mean, well, there's a difference.
And, you know, I understand, guys. I'm your favorite co-host. I was flooded with DMs with people telling me, you need to get back there. Nick is just not cutting it. And I'm back, guys, just for you.
Flooded with DMs. Okay. Are you talking about the one from yourself?
Maybe. I don't even know if I got that one.
Oh, well. Twitter said no. Yeah, but he is back. I'm back, and we're here to bring you another week of so fantastic news.
And, Nick, before we jump into it, I would like to thank you and also Amina for holding down the ship. Well, last week I had a family emergency that had to be tended to because without you guys, the ship would have sunk.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. You know, Chris here, for all of you, you know, wondering, Chris here puts in a lot of work during the week. He really keeps the ship floating pretty easily. It makes life
most of the time, I should say.
Most of the time,
sometimes I create a little bit of trouble, but
yeah, but we hold it together. We keep it going, and without him, this last week was pretty tough, but we got through it, and we're definitely glad to have you back.
Well, Nick, you know the famous saying, don't you? If the ship isn't half sunk, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, I can accept that. But again, before we get into it, Chris, there's just something I have to point out here. This is our 10th episode. Our 10th episode.
I can't believe it.
It's crazy. We've been on for 10 weeks now. This is insane.
People have been listening to us for 10 straight weeks. I don't know why they listen to us. Well,
it scares me. For those that have listened for all 10 weeks, you are absolute soldiers, and I appreciate you.
You've seen the ups and downs of this show and us trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out our formula, trying all different things, you know. But I kind of like the setup we have going right now. And
yeah, I think it's going to work.
You guys do too.
You know, hopefully in the future we'll have bigger and better things coming out.
I can't wait. The future's looking bright.
10 episodes from now, who knows where we'll be. We could be reporting live on CNN, you know?
Yeah, well, that's a crazy thought, but...
or is that like 20 episodes down the road?
That might be a good, 100, but yeah, who's counting? Things look bright, but that could also be the sun coming to implode on Earth, and we're all gonna die. But that's okay.
I can't tell the difference.
Neither can I. But at this point, I think it's about time that we get into some news.
And there's been a lot of news this week.
Oh, yeah. It's been a royal show.
I usually comb through all the news Tuesday or so, and again Wednesday morning to see if there's anything big that happened. And there's been a lot of things this week that I was like, we just don't have time to cover it this week. We'll have to get back to it at a later date. We picked the big topics for this week, and some of the topics are heartbreaking. Well, two of them, in my opinion, are heartbreaking. And the first one that I'm talking about is, I don't know if many of you have heard, she's quite known, Rachael Ray, the celebrity cook and talk show host. Her home in upstate New York caught fire Sunday night around 8 p.m. And the fire had a good jump start on the fire department where she lives, and they ended up having to call in 11 other fire stations for assistance backup because where her home is, it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. So there's no fire hydrants or anything like that. From the reports that were given, there's a long twisty dirt road for these fire trucks to drive down. And at one point, they had to take water out of her lake that was nearby because there's no fire hydrants and they just don't have time to drive to a fire hydrant because the chief of South Glens Falls said that a fire truck can hold about 5,000 gallons of water, and that's only good for 10 to 15 minutes when a fire is blazing like that.
Yeah, and this is pretty crazy. And Chris, you're a Rachael Ray fan, as I know. And
I'm a huge fan of Rachael Ray. I've met her countless times, and when I first saw this, my heart was broken.
Yeah, I remember you actually texted me right as you saw it, and I was just sitting there going, "Wait, what?"
And it's unfortunate, but luckily her husband, dog, and mom got out safely, and she's looking at it positively that the family's safe. Yes, it's terrible that the house is gone, but she's just thankful that everyone is safe without harmed and all that.
Yeah, that's obviously a good thing. You hate to see celebrities when a tragedy like that happens. They just
anyone really,
or anyone. Well, what I'm more saying is like when a celebrity, or a big news figure has something like that happen to them, and then they don't focus on the safety of the people. They focus on the fact that they lost the house and all that, and you just start to go, okay, take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely not the case this time.
They said there was reports, there was a little news thing that they had because she's just so well known, and especially in upstate New York, she's just like one of those people that are down to earth that you'll see, in the grocery store and stuff like that. So she's very well known here. So it brought a lot of attention, and just a lot of people wanted to know what was going on, if her and her family were safe. And the fire chief said she's safe, everyone in the family is safe, and it appears that the fire started upstairs in the attic near the chimney, but they're obviously going to do a full investigation. At this time, it doesn't appear to be suspicious, which is good. But they said that the kitchen was virtually unharmed and maybe a little bit of water damage, but nothing too serious.
No. I'm glad that it wasn't suspicious. As you're saying that right now, I'm trying to think of a situation where anyone would actually want to attack the house of Rachael Ray. But no.
There's crazy people out there.
Oh, there are plenty of psychos. We know that.
When personally, maybe it's just the way that, I am. But the first time that I heard it, I was like, for some reason, I just thought it was arson, but they're saying that they don't think it is.
Which is good. That's very good. And she took to Twitter, did she not?
Yep, and she said, thank you so much for all the local fire departments for saving as much as you could of our home and making sure we were safe, getting us to safety. And she just thanking everyone for the support and all the help that she has received over the last couple of days. Yeah. And Nick, I don't know if you know this. I didn't know this, but a couple weeks ago, before the house burnt down, she donated $4 million to help people with if they don't have food or the income to purchase food for their family. She donated $4 million to food banks, and yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's
the first time I'm hearing $4 million of her personal money, which that's a huge number.
That is huge, even by like celebrity standards. Donating $4 million out of your own pocket, that's I'm not going to say it's unheard of, but it's definitely a huge number to see go into one fund. One. I keep wanting to say charity, but that's not exactly what it is. Into one place to help people, though. And that just kind of shows, like you were saying, Rachel Ray is one of those people that's down to earth, truly cares about people, doesn't, not one of those celebrities that's, high and mighty and all about herself and all of that. And all I can really say to the situation is, hopefully they can get everything situated and figured out. I'm happy.
I'm just glad everyone's safe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad everyone's safe, and hopefully they can get things sorted out from here.
And they said an investigation will be concluded within the next week or two, and we'll certainly give you an update on what they're saying caused the fire, and if they give a update on how the family's doing and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving forward, as we go right along here, we switch gears entirely back to a bit of a political world, because plenty of things have happened in the world of politics this week. So we start out here with Donald Trump signing a series of executive orders that I don't know how I feel about some of these. Definitely some of these I don't really agree with. We start with...
Nick, before we jump into it, can I say what my personal opinion of this is?
Yeah, go for it.
My opinion is it was more of a publicity stunt than anything. That's just my personal opinion now. He was in New Jersey. He had this big thing signing 4 executive orders, and whether or not this actually means anything, it really doesn't.
Yeah, so, of course, some of these aren't terrible. Some of these I actually do kind of agree on, but we'll go through them, and I'll kind of give my basis on each one of these, and then I'm sure Chris will have his own opinions at the same time.
Oh, that's me. I'm full of opinions, don't you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So... First, we kind of move into the payroll tax, which this is something we covered in things that didn't make it into Congress's proposed stimulus package a couple weeks ago. To refresh your memories, though, essentially what this is, it's a cut, or it's a lack of a cut, really. People will no longer lose, or would no longer lose, the 7.65% of their paycheck to... that goes to Social Security and Medicare. Of course, the one stipulation to this is that you have to have an annual income of less than $104,000, or else you don't qualify. Yeah, which I mean would still cover a lot of people, but oh well. Of course, none of this will really go through. And, of course, attached to this also is some sort of, like, holiday payout type deal.
Wait a minute! I'm getting a free holiday?
No. Hold on. Let's look at the facts. Not so fast. Because it's not quite as clear as one may hope and think. Really, this isn't a very clear plan at all. There isn't really anything too clear about any of this in this respect. But essentially, you'd have to pay the money back unless Congress actually passes this as a law.
Which is very unlikely.
Yeah. I mean, Congress isn't even going to be back in session until September, so.
And, Nick, we both know that Trump likes to throw around false promises sometimes. And he's saying if he's reelected, he's going to eliminate it so you don't need to pay back the 7.65%. But as we both know, that is illegal for a president to do because it needs to pass through Congress first.
Yep. And
so it's not clear cut as he thinks it will be, and he's trying to make it that way.
Right. So, moving forward, with our second area of these orders, there's no stimulus package involved in his executive orders that he signed, even though both the Democratic and Republican parties have been trying to compromise a deal on a package and a check, specifically a stimulus check, in Congress until they went on recess about a week ago. And, obviously, this is another thing. There's no way this is going through. Right now, the Republicans...
I certainly wouldn't count on it. So if it does, for some accurate reason it does pass, I would hold on to that money that you get because I guarantee you will be paying it back in your taxes.
Well, not even that, but the fact of no stimulus check, there's no way that's going to pass. There's no way this order is going to get through.
Especially when both parties were in agreement that we want another stimulus check.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was saying too. The Republicans are trying to bring the Democrats down to a $1 trillion package. The Democrats are looking for a $3 trillion package. Of course, a lot of the extra $2 trillion would go to help state funding and other things like that. But point there is, both sides are looking for some kind of stimulus check and some sort of stimulus package. So for Trump to sign an order that doesn't even involve one, that just completely cuts it out, why?
That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't to me either. And it just kind of more looks like he's off trying to do his own thing instead of supporting the party that he runs for.
I agree with you so much on that one. And my personal opinion on this is people need money now. They don't have time for let the executive order go through Congress, let a lawsuit potentially happen, let all these things happen for a tax cut that you're going to have to hold on to anyways to pay it back in your taxes. To me, that's not going to do any good for anyone. They need money now.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving into the third area of this executive order, we go to unemployment benefits. Now, this one is a little better than the first two, as he changes the benefits. He leaves benefits in place. He wants to extend them beyond the July 31st deadline, which of course has passed since we are now in August. He wants the order that he signed says that there'll be $400 per week for the unemployed instead of $600. And it also says that the federal government will cover 75% of these payments, whereas the remaining 25% will go to the states to take care of. The only problem with this is that states don't really have the funds to support this right now. One thing this does do is it kind of remains higher than what the Democrats were looking for. When Congress was still in session, the Democrats were looking for a stimulus package of about, unemployment benefits to range about $200 per week instead of $600. Trump's going about $400. So it's kind of interesting. We're kind of seeing a middle ground here. So maybe that will be negotiated when Congress does come back from their recess.
Honestly, I agree with the $200 one. And I'm not just saying that to disagree with Trump, but I feel like he wants people to go back to work. So wouldn't it make sense to have it lower than, it is lower than the 600, give him credit there, but as low as possibly can for people to still get by with.
The only reason I might be able to see the 400 over the 200 is because of the states like Florida, Texas, and in California, and I could go on and on, that are still seeing rises in very high numbers in COVID cases. So in states like that, they still can't bring a lot of people back safely. So they have to keep the benefits kind of at a point where these people can still gather enough money to survive. I do agree that 200 would be a great way to start bringing people back to their jobs and bringing people back to work. But it's just all about a question of safety, in my opinion. And if incentivizing them like that, this early is safe enough to do.
The major issue that I see with this is that he wants 25% of the states to pay for it. And like you mentioned, the states simply don't have the funding for that anymore. They're pretty much tapped out with everything that's been going on since March. Well,
and the problem here is that the entire country is tapped out. Obviously the country is in an extreme amount of, national debt. We know this. We're up towards 30 trillion these days. And the states, with everything that's been going on, like Chris, you just mentioned, they're also tapped out. They don't really have funds anymore, a lot of states.
And they don't have money coming in either because people are not working.
Right. And so really, this is going into an area of where we're headed, or we could be headed anyway, economically in the recessions that we could definitely be seeing if this continues. But we can talk about that more another time. But moving into the next area of this package, once again, we take a look at student loan payments. And this signing basically suspends the interest rate on student debts. So all debts will have a 0% interest through the end of the year. This obviously helps students who are out of a job right now because of everything going on. And, this won't put them in an even bigger hole. And, this is kind of ironic for me because I just did research a week ago about student debts and the state that they're in across the country. And, student loan debt is huge. There's over $1.5 trillion in student loan debt right now. So, a payment or a suspension of interest is kind of needed right now, in my opinion.
I agree with this areas 100%. It takes a burden off a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's the main benefit of that.
Right. Is it the most important area of this executive order? I don't think so, but it definitely is helpful, and it's definitely something I do agree with. And the final area of this executive order was that the eviction notice was extended, which essentially means that people can't be evicted from their homes if they don't make their payments on time. And this is, again, kind of like the student loan debt, only a little more important. I definitely agree with this. I do like this being part of this executive order here.
Now, Nick, I don't want to be a damper on anyone's parade or anything, but I've noticed a lot that people are thinking that with this eviction notice deal being extended, that they don't have to pay back their rent or their mortgage or anything like that. They need to pay that back.
Yeah.
And if you have a mortgage and you don't pay it, that's going to screw up your escrow big time. So if you can pay it, you should pay it, because
pay it. Yep.
You're either going to have to, it depends on how your landlord wants to operate. He might say you need to pay me in one big lump sum. You might work on a payment plan. And if you decide to move, you might still be paying for that apartment and not be living there. And then your mortgage, you don't want to screw up your escrow, because that's going to be one hefty problem that you're going to have to fix.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely don't think that this is a
free place to live.
Yeah, no, you still have to pay the money. It's just
And I don't know which one would be worse, the rent or the escrow being screwed up, because all I'm going to say is if you can pay it, pay it.
Just pay it. Because you're going to have to pay it anyway.
Don't think you're getting away with, 3 year of rent.
That's not happening.
Payments, because your mortgage will be extended, your escrow is going to be screwed up, and then, like I said, you might be paying for an apartment that you're not even living in anymore.
Yeah. So take our advice.
So there's that.
Once. Take our advice for this one time and make your payments, people. So that pretty much wraps up the executive order that Trump decided to sign. The one thing to remember about all this, as we were kind of stating with the first couple, is that Congress needs to pass these in order for them to actually go into effect. So it's not like his signing of these orders is automatically going to put them in place. And so we are just going to have to sit in our hands again and wait and play this waiting game once again until Congress does come back in September. I believe the date was either September 7th or September 10th. I can't remember exactly. But right now we're just stuck waiting to see what happens there. Congress never did manage to agree upon a stimulus package, like we said before.
So I wouldn't be too counting on this one.
Yeah, so when they do come back, I imagine the first two pieces of this order will be immediately shut down. The last three will be a bit more of a talking point, so we'll have to watch out for those as we move forward. But definitely don't think that just because he signed this, that means that they automatically go into place and they're automatically set in stone, because they're definitely not.
Right. And on to the next topic. There was a shooting Monday during President Trump's coronavirus briefing that he's been starting to give every day again, and he was quickly evacuated out of the briefing room and into the Oval Office by a Secret Service member. And at that time, he didn't have much detail, but he went back and said everything's okay, blah, blah, blah. The next day, they said that a Secret Service member shot someone, a 50-year-old man. He said that he had a weapon, and then he charged a Secret Service member, and that's pretty much that. And he was shot. He was not killed, but he was taken to the hospital, obviously, and they just took Trump out of the briefing room as a safety precaution.
Now, okay, I wanna bring something to attention here. Just a little thought-provoking moment for you, Chris. Okay, if I'm any normal person, when do I think it is in any way intelligent to just casually charge a Secret Service member?
Wait, that's not an intelligent idea?
No, evidently not, because you end up getting shot.
Well, shucks. Well, I'm glad that this guy did it, because, there might have been another idiot that would do it. I don't know what his motive there was. I don't know why he thought this would have been a good idea. But he thought it was a good idea?
From the sounds of it, it kind of just sounded like he was kind of a bit of a psychopath, just trying to attack the White House, but, or attack Trump and try to get through.
Who knows?
Yeah,
but
his best course of action is just to go and attack the Secret Service, and instead of maybe trying to sneak your way in or do anything else.
I think it's really intelligent to walk up to a Secret Service member and say, "I have a weapon," and walk away, and then charge him, and then later discover he never had a weapon.
Yeah, so to just casually charge a Secret Service member after claiming you have how dumb do you have to be?
Obviously pretty dumb.
Yeah, evidently. I mean,
I don't know, Nick.
Does this qualify as a time to use the phrase "you live and you learn"? I don't know if he learned anything.
You're learning big time, that's for sure.
I don't know if he actually learned anything, though. I don't know if he can learn anything.
I don't know if this should be a lesson in school or a life lesson that everyone needs to learn, but
I would think this would be common sense, but I don't know. Apparently,
that's a lack. So
common sense is kind of rare these days. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky to be able to see that fact. But
you know what? Maybe you are one of the few lucky ones, Nick. I don't know. But There was big election news yesterday. Joe Biden announced that Kamala Harris would be his vice president if he won. And this is record-breaking because there hasn't been a black person vice president. And so if they win, this would be record-breaking. But not only that, she would be the first woman vice president. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Nick, but she challenged him in a debate quite a while ago and pretty much left him speechless for what she was making points of. And that might have been a deciding factor on why he chose her. That would be really good for debates. You know, they might be able to work together if they win elections to see both sides of the issues and, you know, things like that. And it's just record-breaking. It was a big moment in election history that's who he chose to be his vice president. And, you know, he did say that being a president, it comes with many tough decisions, and who will be your vice president is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And you're right, this is huge. This is record-breaking on a very large scale because of the fact we've never had a woman vice president. We've had plenty of women run for the presidency and fail. Hillary Clinton obviously coming closest back in 2016. But yeah, we've never had a woman vice president before, so this would be definitely another step closer to getting the first woman in office in the full presidency, in the full president's chair. But yeah, this is definitely huge. Now, he was pretty much considering women from the very beginning. If you had been keeping up with Biden and everything he's been doing, his primary focus was finding a female running mate. And that's been pretty much the headlines for him for the past number of weeks now. I think it's been over a month since he first announced it, that it was going to be one of his main focuses. And now he's obviously chosen one. Now, I mean, this could be a number of different things, in my opinion, just covering all the bases, really. This could be on, him actually wanting to put a female in office, in the office in some way, vice presidency / presidency. He might actually care about that. Of course, there are going to be some that might say it's for publicity, for good raps with the people and a good rep and everything. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it because I haven't really been keeping up with Biden as much lately. I haven't really been keeping up with the race quite as much lately. So this one's kind of iffy to me, to say the least. I'm very happy that there is a possibility for a woman vice president. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm against that, because by all means, I don't care who's in office. If it's male or female, just let them be decent. Just let them be good. But the way he publicized it for so long, it does make you wonder a little bit, but that could just be pure speculation on my end.
Well, way back when they asked him who he's considering to be his VP, and he came right out and said it. He hasn't made a decision yet, but he said it will be a woman. So I don't know if he's definitely doing it for publicity. That might be the avenue, but maybe he just wants a woman in office.
Yeah, it could definitely be either. I mean, the fact that it was announced so long ago now does raise some questionable flags, but of course that could just be the fact that he already knew, if it was the case that he already had decided that he did want a woman in office, well, then that's that. So it's kind of something up for debate on that, I suppose.
Well, Nick, should we get into our final news story?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to open it up, or shall I?
You know what? You go ahead, because I'll read some interesting tweets for everyone once you cover the first part of the story.
All right. So, Kellyanne Conway's daughter has now decided to go to Twitter and open up about her apparent abuse she has suffered from her parents. Now, we can't read back the specific tweets because they were deleted from her account, and her phone was reportedly taken from her after those tweets were put up. But then she regained access to her phone and kind of decided to open up about her hate towards our president. And we do have those tweets here. So, Chris, why don't you take it away?
Well, if you're not aware who Kellyanne Conway is, she is a top advisor for the president. And as you probably know, that Trump decided on July 16th that he is not going to be throwing out the opening pitch for the Yankees game because he was too focused on the coronavirus. And he tweeted, "Because of my strong focus on the China virus, including scheduled meetings on vaccines, our economy, and much else, I won't be able to be in New York to throw out the opening pitch for at Yankees on August 15th. We will make it later in the season." Now, she retweeted with a comment saying, 1, China virus is racist. 2, vaccines shouldn't be capitalized. 3, the Yankees probably didn't want you anyways.
That's
now,
pretty
harsh. I had a giggle on that one. But I find a lot of things funny. So after that, she encouraged all of her followers to go out and vote if you're able to vote. Your opinion matters, all of that nonsense.
Yeah, of course.
And then that was the end of her Twitter, so who knows what happened to that. Well,
Yeah.
not Twitter, but her tweets.
Right. So she's pretty, she's coming at the president's throat here pretty heavily. And, very clearly does not like him, as we can see from those tweets. Even going as far as to make such a simple remark as correcting his capitalization of words. But, I don't really have much of an opinion on this, except for it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, she's made her opinion heard. Her husband, Kellyanne Conway's husband, has made his opinions heard that he's not a Trump supporter either and has actually formed a group, anti-Trump, and his daughter doesn't like it. So it seems like the only one in the family that does, Kellyanne Conway. So I'm interested to see how that's going to go.
Makes you wonder how family dinners go.
They might be an awkward dinner.
Just everyone staring each other down, not saying a word.
Having their fists clenched. Stabbing at the food. How was your day at work with the idiot, honey? Yeah, Mom. Did the idiot say anything idiotic today with the China virus?
He's racist.
This chicken parmesan is delicious, honey.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a great family demographic, but maybe they can still get along. Maybe they're one of those rare, family, one of those rare families that can actually have a good demographic. But considering the daughter there's tweeting about apparent abuse, I would say no. But what do I know?
Well, with all that being said, that is this week's current news. So, Nick, do we want to move into our Stupid Laws segment?
Absolutely, and boy, do we have some fun ones this time around.
I know I got some 2 interesting ones for you. Should I go first, or do you want to go first?
You're back from your week-long situation, so why don't you take the first one? Have some fun.
This law is in Arizona, so it is illegal to promote the use of or own more than 6 dildos.
Now, okay, wait. How do you promote the use of more than 6? Or is it just illegal to promote the use and then own more than 6? The wording on this is very confusing. Either way, I find it absolutely hilarious.
It's very interesting to me, and I don't know why you would own 6 at once.
I mean, well, you got to think about it. Sometimes a woman, over the course of her life, or teenager or whatever, they move up in dildo rank, okay?
But why would you need to own 6 of them at once? and then promote all 6 of them at once.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. But, some people move up the dildo ranks and they keep the old ones just in case, in case they need some backups. But
okay, that's enough of that one.
Nostalgic. Now, the only thing I can say about this law is I can imagine this was created by a jealous husband.
That is probably the
who was not
reason.
Doing his job at home.
That's enough of that, Nick. What's your stupid law?
So, continuing kind of on the same trend here, we go to Florida. And, oh, dear God, this one scares me. Because in Florida, having sexual relations with a porcupine is illegal. Now, Chris, have you ever seen a porcupine?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever wondered how anyone could ever have any kind of sexual attraction to a porcupine?
Well, no, that's not something I would think about. Or even want to have that.
I don't understand it. Who did this to make this a law? I don't get it. People scare me. All right, before I get a migraine, Chris, please save me.
This is why Nick has trust issues.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely one of them.
And this is why I have people issues.
Yep. Sorry, guys, but I don't like people anymore. Chris, what's your second law? Let's get as far away from this as humanly possible before I start.
Well, on the opposite side of the country, let's go to Alaska.
Ah, fun.
Moose may not be viewed from an airplane.
Why?
Now, this is pretty stupid, because why can't you be in an airplane and fly over and see moose?
Well, now, I want to point out here, too, there are a couple laws that surround moose in Alaska, and each one of them is as dumb as the last. You can't view moose from an airplane. I believe there was a law that stated you can't push a moose out of an airplane.
Well, shucks.
You also can't give a moose alcohol. What is with the people and their moose? I'm confused. I'm scared still. Yeah.
Well, that leaves a lot of questioning, like most of them do. But, Nick, what is your next dumb law?
Yeah, so for my final law here, we go to Colorado.
Colorado!
And this one just explains all too much about the way they run their state, because one may not mutilate a rock in a state park. I'm sorry, what? Chris, do you know how to mutilate a rock?
No, I don't.
Neither do I. And I think
I would
that's
like to know if someone tried to do it.
Well, I actually read more up on this law, and this law is recent. Like this, good
Lord.
There's reporting on this law from like 2016, and I haven't seen anything about it being like repealed or anything. So, according to what I was able to find on this law, because I just couldn't believe it that I actually had to research it.
No,
apparently in Colorado, they take their state parks very seriously, and so they literally made it illegal to mutilate rocks in state park. Is this because of the weed? Just someone tell me, is this because of the weed?
Nick, I don't know about you, but am I the only one that will look at someone and be like, crack, huh? You know, whoever created this law must have been on crack.
Either on crack or copious amounts of weed, because remember, I mean, weed is legal in Colorado, so they can get all kinds of high over there. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was an instigator for this law.
You know, these dumb laws keep me nice and speechless.
All these laws are terrifying me, especially this week. I need a bit of happiness in my life to settle my sanity back to a point where it's at least on the edge and hanging on by a strand. Chris, would you like to indulge us in this week's good news story?
Absolutely. And you know, Nick, this week's good news story is about a football team that was hiking, and they saw a man trying to hike up to the pier in a wheelchair. And they ended up pulling the man up, helping him get up there and touch the little, I guess it's called a statue that was at the top. I've never been there, so I don't really know much about it. But he went up there. They all took a picture together, but they pulled him up. They pushed him up, helped him when the guy needed it. And they just all surrounded each other and really just helped each other up the mountain to see the view and to get to the pier.
Now, two things. A, the fact that there was a man in a wheelchair actually trying to climb a mountain, that is strength and willpower at its finest. Oh my God. Obviously we're visually impaired, Chris and myself, so we know about challenges and struggles and all of that, but wow. That's crazy, and that's so cool that that someone was actually trying to do that. But the football team helping, again, as typical with these stories, it's just beautiful to see that people have hearts.
Yeah. And if you follow us on Twitter, I will be posting a photo of the team all together, and it kind of sums it all up. It makes you understand it a little bit more, because I don't really know what's at the top. I guess and where they live, it's like a goal to get to the top of this mountain and touch this little statue or whatever it is.
That's really cool, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they all just surrounded him and helped him get up to the top, and I'm sure that man will remember that and appreciate it forever.
Oh, that's something you take with you all the way to your grave, and that's something that you just hold on to for the rest of your life. And I can kind of imagine that he made some friends with that team that day.
Absolutely. And I guess someone took photos of them actually going up before they took the photos of the of them at the top, and they put it on Twitter, and their coach was not aware of it. It was actually a fellow school's coach that took the photos and, said this is what a team should be. They should be helping everyone out as much as they can, and said, I know we're competitors, but I'm extremely proud of this football team for helping this man.
That's so awesome. I love to see these stories. I say it every week, but I'll continue to say it.
Some of the stories are, really inspirational.
Yeah, they absolutely are. We've seen everything from kids to celebrities to immigrants to just random acts of kindness. We're seeing all these different types of people. We're collecting all these different types of stories for each week that, just they're so inspirational. They're so heartwarming. They're so smile-inducing. I love these. I love these stories, and I'm so glad that we can actually bring them onto this podcast.
It's certainly a good segment that we came up with to do because, with all the news, it certainly does kind of give you a little sense of there is still good in the world.
Especially in an age when everything seems to be crumbling down at our feet.
Yeah, well, we call that the age of 2020.
Love it.
But, Nick, that is the end of our 10th episode.
We made it, guys. This is 10 episodes down, and we are not slowing down. We will be continuing
If anything, we are speeding it up.
Oh, yeah. We will be continuing to release episodes every week. We are continuing with our failed elections series. This week, we, of course, released the episode of Joe Walsh's campaign. So if you missed that and want to listen to his failed election campaign, make sure to go listen to that right here on the podcast. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at blindboypolitic. Personal accounts, as always, I am at blinding_aura. I hope you can figure out the spelling by now, but if you can't, I'll try to put the links in the description. And for Chris, it is at C_Baker002. Thank you again for everything, guys. We're glad that we could be here for 10 episodes and not even coming close to slowing down. As Chris said, we're going to continue to speed up, continue to push.
We got, big things in the works, and I hope that you guys continue to stay with us and see the development of this podcast and so many more things that we've been in the works with.
Absolutely. For all loyal listeners up for the 10 weeks, thank you so much for sticking with us and continuing to stick with us from here on out. For any new listeners, welcome. And I hope you enjoy, and we all hope you enjoy. And hopefully we can grow this into a bit of a family, like I was saying a week ago.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. And until next week, see ya.
See you later, guys.